What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you Rob's Clown Crew Mitsurugi profile. Now if you were fast enough to pick up your Clown Crews when they were like £10 to £12, which probably equates to about $15, and I've also seen them go online right now for about $22, which probably isn't that bad of an investment, you actually have like a really good budget deck that you can utilize with the legendary modern decks in the form of the Mitsurugis. So this only involves the Clown Crew core and then one Mitsurugi deck, so you don't need to get three. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what Rob plays, and then I'll also show you the basic one card combo at the end of the video as well, where how you can bridge between the two. So with all of that out of the way, please smash the like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So with the Clown Crew cards, we're on 2 Biancaviso. 2 is more than enough in a hybrid. Like if you're playing a pure version, or a version like myself, which I was playing the Cash Terror version, opening it up is kind of fine. But with something like the Mitsurugis, sometimes you want your normal summon to be something else and could be quite helpful for you. But 2 Bian is absolutely fine in this version. 3 Flare, just your consistency piece, reveal it, get what you need to. It's your ritual monster to tribute if you need to, but you obviously get the ritual part from the deck being the Mitsurugis. 3 Rehearsal, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. 2 Malabaresme, again, I personally quite like 3 of this, but 2 seems to work for them. The idea behind this one is Rehearsal's quite nice, because Rehearsal can tribute off any of your Mitsurugis, and then all your Mitsurugis will start to trigger because they have tribute effects, which is really nice. That's probably the best part of synergy between the two. The Malabarisme gives you the fusions and the synchros, and I fully understand if you get the fusion and synchros without tribute fodder, you're just walling up, you're not really doing anything. Then we've got the 1 Clown Crew Matinee Operatics and the 1 Soiree Operations. I don't mind this. I think that kind of makes sense with the hybrid and the way that this deck's been built. I personally quite like New Face, like that additional recycle and draw during the draw phase, standby phase. I think is really cool. But then you're also playing a lot of bricks with the Mitsurugi build, because there's a lot of cards that, apart from like Habakuri, there's cards that need a tribute effect to get you stuff, which is what the Clown Crew provide the Mitsurugi strategy. But there's also cards like, if you hard see them, stuff like your Great Purification on its own with nothing else to back it up. It becomes a bit more of a brick, but makes sense on this one. For the Mitsurugis, 2 Murakumo, 1 Futsu, and 1 Habakiri. All kind of makes sense, to be honest. I don't think you want to play any more of either of these two. You could play 1 less Murakumo, but you want 1 that you contribute and 1 that you could successfully summon. So I think the ratios are absolutely fine with this one. 1 Saji, 1 Aramasa, and 1 Kusanagi. Again, pretty straightforward on that one. I don't think there's anything too wild with that lineup. 1 Night Sword Serpent, 3 Prayers, 2 Mirror, and 2 Ritual. Again, all makes sense. And these all came in just 1 deck as well, by the way. 3 Preparation of Rites, search out your Mirror, search out your Murakumo, search out your Futsu or your Habakiri as well. So you're getting everything you need to. The 1 Purification, 1 Call by the Grave, and then the non-engine of 3 Nibiru, 3 Fualos, and 2 Droll. Now the Nibiru is actually really quite funny, because when you Nibiru, you tribute your cards and your opponent's cards, so you actually get to draw with the operatics during the end phase, which is quite funny. Another thing that I've seen quite a few people play with Clown Crews is you can actually play Ras Fear mode, and then what you do is you activate your Biancaviso during your opponent's turn, and then you tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters, which I think is really funny. Obviously you have the Vanity's Fiend, but I just feel that the synergy of Nibiru with the deck is actually really good. It just makes a lot of sense. And what I was seeing Rob do more times than not as well when I was watching him duel, is that he would actually sometimes just tribute summon Nibiru as his own monster. So he'd activate like Malabaresme. And this is where the extra deck comes in a little bit more for him, is that he was tributing off his own Synchro, Fusion, or XYZ, and rather than using the effects to set the materials, because I've seen like the Clown Crew that I play and the purer version, you actually need it to set New Face, or you need it to set like your Rehearsal for the follow-up or anything else in between. But he was actually using them to, when they're tributed, use their effects to spin back all the fusions or all the synchros. So he was on 3 Meteor, 3 Fiends, and 2 Diabolo. So Diabolo to set the trap card makes sense because you're only playing 1 trap card. But for fusion decks, could be really good to recycle them around. Fiends lets you set the spell card, which obviously Rehearsal being the most important card for the hybrid bridge between the two. But then also being able to recycle the XEs is going to be less effective for the pure fact that you are recycling, like Doomsday is probably like the most effective deck right now that would do that too. But then your Meteor is the most important, because this one recycles back from the graveyard, but then also is synchros for Cool Tunes. So this one makes so sense at being at 3. And yeah, and just watching him, there were times where it's like, right, they let them build a particular field, and then you'd activate the Bianca Viso, and then you'd use Nibiru to tribute 2 off. So the Nibiru can become one or two things. It can become that Nibiru that nukes your opponent's entire field, or if they try to play under it, but they're playing into a Fusion, Synchro, or XEs, that was the wrong way around, but Synchro, XEs, or Fusion, you can use Nibiru to tribute off your 2 monsters, get yourself a 3k boss monster, but then use these effects to either recycle, set, or just refresh Fusions, XEs, or Synchros from the graveyard. For the other generic cards, so for the generic XEs, Gallant Granite, because just search out Nibiru and do exactly as I've just mentioned. Typhon, interesting choice, but you know. Baguska, I guess if you just get absolutely nailed with hand interactions, you just sit on a Baguska. And then for the final ones, Dynamondo, Haggard Lizardos, SP Little Knight, and then the Ashlan. So 2 monsters with different types and attributes. If a ritual monster this card points to attack to defense position once, you inflict piercing battle damage. Only use each effect once per turn. You can reveal a ritual monster in your hand to add a ritual monster with a different type and attribute from the deck to the hand. If you ritual summon, except during down step, target face up, card your opponent controls, and return it to the hand. So like this in the deck that just ritual summons is actually insanely good. So remember that Flare is a light beast warrior, and then you've got Reptile Darks on all of the other ritual monsters. So you can pretty much bridge from either your Mitsurugis to your Flare, or your Flare to your Mitsurugis, which is quite nice. So that's pretty much it for the entire main deck. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset and just bring out the camera a little bit, and then show you that 1-card combo so you can kind of see how the deck bridges over from one to the other. So thanks to Rob for the profile and the list. Now let's show you the combos. You have everything you need in one tidy video. Be back in a second. The 1-card combo is, of course, going to be Habakuri. Now, keep in mind that there's different ways to get to Habakuri. It is basically going to be Mitsurugi combo until a point. So I'm not going to explain every single step of the Mitsurugi point, but I'm going to show you when it starts to bridge into the Clown Crews. So you start off with Habakuri, you do the reveal in the hand, summon out the Sargi, Sargi gets tributed off, grabs you the ritual. You then activate the ritual to ritual summon from the hand using the deck, and in the deck you want to use your Kusanagi and your Serpent. In doing so, summon down your Habakuri. As this now resolves, you'll get your Kusanagi to add you back the ritual, and you'll get your Night Sword Serpent to summon itself back to the field. Now activate the ritual, tribute him from the field to ritual from the deck, which will grab you the Murakumo, and obviously tributing off the Habakuri will then be able to trigger its effect to grab you Prez and bring itself back to the field. So there's all these little different things that have kind of happened to get everything going, but that's when you're going to get the most out of it all. You can now activate the Prez. The Prez can then tribute off your Murakumo, and this will then allow you to add a Mitsurugi and then special summon a Mitsurugi from the hand or grave, but it can't attack directly. So the Mitsurugi you're going to want to add is going to be your Aramasa. So then what you're going to want to be able to do is special summon down the Aramasa, and then of course you do have the Murakumo's effect because it was tributed. And remember, you've tributed a ritual monster, so you're going to be able to gain a draw during the end phase. So now what you've got to do is you've got to build the chain between your Aramasa and your Murakumo. And that's where you're going to be able to get even more advantage. So go Chain Link 1 Murakumo, Chain Link 2 Aramasa. So that's going to be able to grab you your Futsu and your Mirror, while also then reviving the Murakumo back from the graveyard. Great success. Then overlay your 2 level 4s to go into Gallant Granite. Use Gallant Granite's effect to grab you your Nibiru. Now this just gives you a line of, I wouldn't say protection, but your opponent now knows you have a Nibiru. So they're going to need to be even more careful as you try and make your plays going forward, because if you drop a Nibiru on them, not only will you be able to draw resource, but you also, Nibiru is just as powerful as it can be. So that's just another layer that your opponent needs to play through that's going to cause them a lot of issues. So now what you're going to do is you're going to link off your Habakuri, you're going to link off your Gallant Granite, and this is where you're starting to bridge into your Clown Crew cards. Because you're going to be able to go into the Ashlan. So if a ritual monster this card points to attacks, it does piercing battle damage. But what you can do is once per turn, reveal a ritual monster in your hand to add a ritual monster with a different type and attribute from the deck to the hand. So this is going to allow you to reveal the Futsu, which will then grab you your Flare. So you're pretty much insulated with a lot right here. Reveal the Flare. This is going to allow you to grab the Rehearsal, and then you can discard one card. With this one, you're going to want to get rid of the Futsu, because we've got the Mirror, we can actually Ritual Summon it back, which is quite a nice little bit of synergy, if I don't say so myself. So we're going to activate the Mirror, we're going to tribute off the Murakumo, and we're going to Special Summon back the Futsu from the graveyard. So we've got these 3 cards in hand. Remember, we've still got 4 more cards from our original hand to play with as well. And now we've got the ability to utilize Rehearsal to push us a step even further forward. And that's going to trigger off quite a lot of effects. So we'll activate the Rehearsal, we'll tribute off our Futsu. We'll resolve this by grabbing our Malabaresme and our Biancaviso. And now what you can do here is you can trigger off the Futsu, and you can also trigger off the Mirror. So Mirror is whilst cards in the graveyard, as long as a Futsu, Habakuri or Murakumo is tributed, you get to put this card back into the deck, so that recycles your Mirror very nicely. And of course your Futsu, as it was tributed, you add a Mitsurugi card from the deck to the hand, accept itself, and then Special Summon it like all Mitsurugi cards do anyway, because why was that a consideration? I'll never know. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring back your Futsu, you're going to grab yourself the Prez, because that's going to give you more disruption during your opponent's turn. And then you're going to be able to push that little bit further forward as well. So what we're going to be able to do here to go that one step further is we're then going to be able to activate our Malabaresme. Malabaresme, we're going to bring out the Diabolo, and we're going to bring out the Fiends. Then you've got the ability to still tribute cards off as well, which could be quite important for you. And that's when you're going to want to use the Rehearsal effect in the graveyard to banish this, tribute off the Diabolo, Special Summon down your Flare. That will then trigger Diabolo to set you your Operatics. Remember, we haven't even used our normal summon yet, which is pretty mental. So then what you're going to want to do here is you're going to use your Biancaviso, tribute off the Flare and your Fiends, and summon itself down. You're now able to go Chain Link 1 Biancaviso, Chain Link 2 will be your Fiends. Fiends will let you set the Operatics. Biancaviso will then let you draw 2 random cards. You're then going to activate the Operatics. You can use the Operatics effect to Special Summon out your Meteor. Now, Meteor you can save for during your opponent's turn. Don't worry, you're absolutely fine. But then what you're also going to be able to get to do is you're going to be able to move to the end phase, set the Prez first. So at this point, you're going to be able to draw 3 cards. If you wanted to, what you could do is you could leave the Flare on the field and tribute off the Ashland, which will let you draw a 4th card. The reason for doing something like that is that you would be able to then utilize the Flare to tribute off during your opponent's turn to either book a Moona monster or to recycle all ritual monsters. Because I don't want to do that, we're just going to not get too greedy, and we're just going to draw 3 brand new cards. Now remember, at the start of our turn, we only used 1 card. So our end turn, keeping in mind if we didn't set card, let's just imagine that one of these cards could be set. You've got a well over the hand limit here. So you're going to need to discard until you have 6 in your hand, which means you need to discard 3 cards. Now, one card that Rob was playing in his side deck, which I thought was really kind of cool, is he was playing the Black Goat Laughs. So that if you discard the Black Goat Laughs, that can then have a graveyard effect for you as well. So if you want to take it back, you could even discard a breakthrough skill. You could, of course, discard the Nibiru, and you're like, cool, now my opponent doesn't know what I have in my hand. But the idea is that this is just pretty insane, because if any of those cards in the hand, and using Nibiru as an example, you can go during your opponent's turn, Biancaviso, use the effect to tribute summon. You could tribute off the Meteor, and you could tribute off the Futsu if you want to. It doesn't make much of a difference. But at the very least, you could then recycle back all of the Synchro monsters, or you can recycle back one of the Clown Crew cards in the graveyard back to the hand. And let's just say we drew it off Futsu. The only difference is you'll also still have prayers. You can tribute off the Futsu can come back, you name it. Or if you're able to add the Great Purification to this end field as well, or instead, you then have that as another line of protection. So the combo's pretty cool. It's a shame that it does rely specifically on Habakuri to do that. But remember, the deck of Mitsurugi, even with only 1 Habakuri, should be able to work its way into them. The most important thing about this combo is that you may use the Ashland before you lock yourself out of accessing or activating monsters special from the extra deck. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do the bridge. But the deck is consistent enough to get to those pieces. And then when you draw off of Biancaviso, if you only open up Clown Crew, you could draw into Mitsurugi plays as well and in between. And we did all that without using our normal summon. Anyway, thank you so much to Rob for bringing the list to my attention and obviously showing off for you guys. The combo was from Yugioh Combo, so I'll put a link in the description down below so you can watch that on repeat, and that might give you a bit more of an understanding of where it's trying to go. But the idea is that this deck can be made incredibly budget. Literally, a couple of random bulk cards, like the Ashlan, but then a Mitsurugi deck from the legendary modern decks, which is like £10, plus the Clown Crew if you're fast enough was £10. So there's £20 of a high-end competitive deck, or maybe modernise the thing. It's still only £30 investment, which is probably nowhere near $50 or like $50 at max. Gives you all of this to utilise and play with. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.